Welcome back in Zolder, race 4, but what a drama on race 3. Norbert Kiss was banned in the last row because of an incident in Parc Fermé, but he fight himself through the field on the 4th place, and we saw the first victory of Jochen Hahn this season. He was very happy about this. Now we have reverse grid, and I wish you a good time here on this channel with your commentators, Jack and Evie.
Thank you very much, Christopher. Welcome along, everybody, to the FIA European Truck Racing Championship. My name is Jack Werrell, and I will be guiding you through the action for the final race of the weekend for the European Truck Racing Championship. And if you're already just joining us, well, where have you been? It's been a brilliant weekend worth of racing. Yesterday, with, of course, qualifying and Super Pole being incredibly close between all of the drivers. Race 1 was fairly sedate as to what else we've also seen this weekend. Race 2 was all going on in the mid-pack, and then qualifying this morning fairly close in the mid-pack once again. So too was Super Pole, but up at the top was Norbert Kiss. But after we discovered he will have to start from the back after a Parc Fermé infringement. So while the lap time was the quickest we'd seen all weekend, sadly it was deemed null and void after the infringement back in the paddock. So if you were around for race 3 of the weekend, race 1 of today, you will have seen the brilliant battle between everybody, really. I think the one to note will have been between Théo Calvet and Shane Brayton, the pair of those two sparring away throughout the entirety of the race. That was a really, really, really good race. And I've got to say, I'm looking forward to seeing yet more action here for race 4. Riding on board with Heinrich Clementecker on his way to the grid. Of course, he finished. Where did Heinrich finish? I actually haven't got it noted down. The number 25 machine. I think potentially he retired. Yes, he did. He was disqualified. Pardon me. I think Stefan Faas. I've got my my notes mixed up there somehow. I think that was in the mad rush getting ready for this race. But we did see Stefan Faas, I believe, get a couple of penalties throughout the weekend. Of course, track limits has been a couple, overspeed there's also been a couple there as well. So the regulations are there for a reason, and they are so strictly put in place. So we've got to make sure we abide by all of them, as of course a lot of them are there for the safety and security of not just the drivers but the circuit staff, and of course the brilliant spectators that we've got here this weekend. The cloud cover has somewhat increased from what we saw this morning. I don't think there's any chance of rain really. Yesterday it was incredibly wet. There was a lot of rain, and we had to start race 2 of the weekend under yellow flag conditions. We had a warming up lap and 2 laps under yellow flag conditions, and then we did eventually get out and get some racing action underway. This race, however, it's going to be pretty close. That's probably the best way to put it. We've got a 3-time Chrome Class winner from this weekend alone, Théo Calvet, starting on pole position at the front of the order, with Sascha Lenz starting alongside. Sascha couldn't really hook the truck up this morning for race 3, so potentially after the incident in race 3, he just got ran wide a couple of times and then found himself parading through the gravel. He did once again retake to the circuit, but he was quite a way down the order. He worked his way back up quite nicely into 7th place, but it wasn't enough really to make a dent on his championship rival Norbert Kiss, who went from the very back row of the grid, 16th place, right the way up to 4th. So he will start this race in 5th position on row 3. Truck 17, Shane Brayton. We saw lots of action from him in race 3. We also have an interview with him now. Down to you, Christopher.
Shane, how much pressure you think you will get from behind? Congrats to the pole.
A considerable amount, I believe.
What are your expectations? And on the other side, when I look out of your window, there's Théo Calvet. He's your biggest opponent in the Goodyear Cup.
Yeah, I think me and Théo have had a battle all weekend, and I don't see this race being any different.
Okay. I wish you a good race, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
This was Sean Brayton.
Thank you very much there, Christopher. And on further inspection of my notes, it was Heinrich Clementecker that got disqualified from race 3. I do believe it was due to an overspeed infringement that he picked up along the way. Riding on board with Jamie Anderson, he's been rather busy throughout this weekend, of course, with the antics of Norbert Kiss himself. And then, of course, starting not necessarily where he would want to in this race. The number 33 machine will line up in 14th place in this slot on the right, hopefully, if I've got my grid correct. There we go. So pulling in to the right-hand side, alongside Alia Kolok. She will be looking to improve upon her position as the race wears on. And of course, we saw a maiden podium for Luke Garrett. It's his first season in the truck, and he finished third in the Chrome class in race 3. Truck 20, however, Theo Calvet, star of the weekend. We have an interview with him.
Theo, how is it in the first row? A lot of space in front.
Yeah, like you said, I start from the front row, second position. I'm really happy. I made a good first race. So now I have to make the job, and try to keep the big guys behind me, and I will make push as much as possible and make my best.
So what are the plans for the race? As you said, there will be a lot of pressure from behind.
Yeah. I don't really have plan, I have to make my race, see what happen. You never know, the start and everything can be. The start is very important, so I will try to make a good start and maybe overtake Shane, who is next to me, and we will see during the race.
You're very successful. I always see you there at the podium, especially this weekend. But when I look on the other side, there's your opponent just next to you, Shane Brayton. What do you think about him?
Yeah, Shane is a good driver. We had a lot of battle together. I'm in front of him for the moment. At the beginning of the season, he was in front of me. But, I try to improve myself race after race. And it works, so I'm happy. I had 3 victories in the Goodyear Cup this weekend. And I hope for a 4th one.
Hope so too. I will see you later for the interviews. Thank you and good luck. Thank you. Theo Calvet.
Thank you very much, Christopher. A very brief word there from Theo Calvet, starting on the front row of the grid, starting from pole position indeed, after 3 Chrome wins so far this weekend and 3rd place overall in race 2. So potentially there is maybe another win and maybe an overall podium once again from Theo. So the French driver has got it all to play for here in the final race of the weekend. You can see the crowds building for the maiden event, and of course this being the last race of the weekend, so everyone wants to make sure they can catch it. In regards to who I think we should look out for, the obvious choice is Norbert Kish, starting from the 3rd row of the grid, so keep an eye out for him. Sacha Lenz, very quick driver. He's had 2 wins so far this season coming into this round, of course, and he's had 5 top 3s. That was all coming into this weekend. So he's not too far adrift of Norbert Kish in the standings. So he's got a little bit of making up to do from race 3. So keep an eye out for him as he potentially cuts through the order and really starts to throw a spanner in the works here. Theo Calvet, he will have the inside for turn 1. That will evolve to the outside for the next 3 corners. So he's got to make sure he needs to nail this start. There is Steffi Hall getting ready behind the wheel of her Iveco. And she's had an on and off weekend. A couple of good results, a couple that maybe aren't what you'd be expecting. But Steffi starting on the 2nd row of the grid in 3rd place, so she will also share that inside line in towards turn 1. So we could see yet more good results from Steffi. Jochen Hahn, after the first win of his 2021 campaign, potentially yet more results coming his way. Adam Lachko as well, another very good driver we've seen out this weekend. Very, very well driven race 2 yesterday, taking the win in the rain. He's not quite got the legs in the dry, but he is starting in 7th place. He finished 2nd in race 3 this morning, so there's evidently some pace underneath that Bagheera Racing Freightliner. We do have 3 Freightliners out on circuit this afternoon, all of which are very similar liveried. So if you want to pick between them, Theo Calvet, our poleman for today, he has the standard Bagheera livery, but with the blue flashes, so headlight covers, front grille trim, wing mirrors, and the 5th wheel. Adam Lachko has all the same but in yellow, and Alia Kolok has all the same but in red. That's how you can pick between the Freightliners at first glance. We've also potentially got to keep an eye out for Shane Brereton, having just missed out on reverse grid pole. He had a lot of pace behind the wheel of his MAN, so we could see a positional improvement starting in 9th on the 5th row of the grid with René Reynard just sat alongside. So potentially we could see a couple of the drivers working their way up through the order that maybe didn't have the race they wanted earlier on today. You can see the Iveco pace truck sat at the start finish line. That is the new Iveco S-Way, having just signed another 3-year extension to its long-standing partnership, with the European Truck Racing Association. So we'll be seeing that truck around for the future. There is the rather damaged Stefan Fast Scania, the number 24 machine in the Tank Pool Racing 24 colours. So obviously, with this being the last race of the weekend, they've got all the time in the cool-down from this weekend to get that truck repaired. So they will be able to make sure it's fighting fit and ready for Le Mans at the next round. We do have an interview with the man we're looking at. Stefan Fast, down to you, Christopher.
Stefan, there was a penalty, 10 seconds penalty. Can you tell us why this penalty?
Yeah, we have a problem with the speed. In one area, on one session, we have the speed overspeeding, and this was the penalty.
So how unhappy you are about this overspeeding, about this penalty, because you lost the podium, eh?
No, not the podium. I was on 9, but yes, it's not so. I'm not so happy, but I do what. Yeah.
You accept it.
Yes.
So, and what are the goals now for the race?
I hope the best, and I want in the front. Yeah.
All the best to you. Thank you. Stefan Fast, a little bit unhappy.
Very brief word there from Stefan Fast. Clearly trying to get focused and readied for the final race of the weekend, of course. As Christopher mentioned, he got that 10-second time penalty for overspeeding. So hopefully they have that issue fixed and they continue on with their race weekend efforts. Heinrich Clementecker, of course, disqualified from race 3 this morning. I didn't quite get to catch where he was lining up, so potentially, I mean, he will be on the back row of the grid, whether it's 15th or 16th, I'm not 100% sure. We do have an onboard camera with him, so I'm sure we'll be checking in as the race wears on. Jamie Anderson, we also have an onboard camera with as well. He's starting from the tail end of the order, 14th place, so it'd be good to check in with him in the first few laps to see what his progress is like. Luke Garrett, keep an eye out for him, of course, with his first podium of this year, first podium of the championship. Came this morning in race 3 of the weekend, so we could see a little bit of positional change for him. Antonio Albacete, one of those drivers that's been there or thereabouts throughout the weekend, but he hasn't really been able to piece it together. He's had a couple of podiums, which is of course great to see, so I think potentially this race is the one that really matters. He's got Norbert Kish in front of him, as well as Andre Kersim directly in front of him on the row in front, and then obviously Sacha Lenz and Theo Calvet making up row 1. So there's a lot of quick drivers in front, a lot of quick drivers behind, and everybody else thrown in between. So we could see a few little battles developing. There is the rather second-hand looking Sacha Lenz. You can see rubber pasted down the left-hand side, or the right-hand side, pardon me, of that truck, and all down the front as well. So evidently getting his elbows out in the first race of the day, and that'll be nothing a bit of brake cleaner and a rag can't clean up. So Sacha Lenz starting currently on the left-hand side of the grid. I've got him down as to start on the right, so I'm not sure where I potentially may have made the mistake there, but I was convinced he was starting on the front row alongside Theo Calvet. So once the grid is made up in the next coming minutes, obviously we'll be able to see that. So the trucks will be rolling away in a few moments' time. The Iveco S-Way posting an installation lap, just making sure they can turn a lap round this Zolder circuit. Of course, no stranger to sizable motorsport events. He's held 10 Grand Prix. He's also held Super League Formula, Champ Car, the Blancpain Series, DTM, and of course the FIA European Truck Racing Championship, just to name a few. There is the Ford F-Max. That is the official truck of the FIA European Truck Racing Championship, designed by around 500 Ford engineers over a 5-year period. tests were carried out in 11 countries over 4 continents, and 233 prototype units were used. So they've really hit the nail on the head with that one. And over 5 million kilometres of road testing were put into developing that truck. And of course, it won the International Truck of the Year award in 2019. So it really is a proper piece of kit. It also they're also making great strides in economic running of that truck. So it does have an eco mode. So whilst also pushing the limits of performance, it's pushing the limits of economical running, which is obviously great to see. Bringing a greener side not only to motorsport but to global logistics. So of course that is absolutely brilliant as well. Drivers getting themselves readied for the final race of the weekend. If you are new to the series, I'll give you a few little specs on these trucks. They've got to weigh a minimum of 5.3 tons, so 5,300 kilograms. 3,150 of those kilograms all has to be over the front wheels. So as you can imagine, while under braking as well, the tail end of these trucks gets rather lively. So definitely in for some pretty good sights heading into this race. There is Sascha Lenz alongside René Reinhardt. So I think potentially I've got my notes scribbled down wrong. Yes, René Reinhardt should definitely not be there. He finished 10th, so he should be started 10th as well. Yeah, so I'm not sure how I've managed to do that, but Sascha Lenz, of course, finishing quite the way down the order, so he's starting right the way down in 10th place. There is the number 11 machine of André Kurzim, lining up alongside Steffi Halm. Another few little facts for you about this series. These trucks are limited to 160 kilometers an hour or 100 miles an hour. So when we were talking to Stefan Faas, when we went down to Christopher for that interview, and when he mentioned overspeeding, it just meant that the truck was going over that enforced limit. So the regulation was breached and a penalty had to be given out by the race director, and he did lose an opportunity to finish on the chrome podium there. So rather unlucky from Stefan Faas. Heinrich Clemens-Hecker was disqualified from the race. I think that was due to track limit extensions on multiple occasions. So not a great start to his Sunday, if I'm honest. And Faas already, after having the 10-second penalty from the overspeeding, he also had 2 warnings for track limits as well. So he'll have to rein it in a little bit for this coming race. But the music builds up the tension, the crowds are building with it, and in a few moments' time we will end up with an installation lap being posted. And then we will be able to get this racing underway. You can see the bright red number 41 MAN of Norbert Kisch sat on the left-hand side of the grid. He'll be ready to get going. You can see there Shane Brereton starting on the front row of the grid, with Theo Calvert sat alongside. And in a few moments' time, you will see the Iveco S-Way pace truck pull away from the grid. There we go. And the race trucks will follow suit. All trucks are using a bio-HVO diesel, which is 100% renewable, aiding the efforts by the FIA European Truck Racing Championship to be at net zero emissions by 2038 by the very latest. Riding on board with Norbert Kisch, sat behind row 2, you can see André Kurzim just sat off to the front right. I think maybe the first target for Norbert will be that number 11 Iveco. Shane Brereton in an ideal position here. So he will have the inside line for turn 1. Theo Calvet will obviously have the outside for turn 1, but then the inside for the next 3 corners. So as long as he's brave enough to hold it around the outside through turn 1, everything should then start swinging his way into the opening stages of the race. Luis Requenco, I'm trying to spot his truck. It does look like he has made it out after a puncture in race 3, so thankfully that was the only damage. The truck didn't land funny on its suspension or anything like that, so the truck has returned to the circuit. So too has Heinrich Clemens-Hecker. The official pace truck Iveco S-Way is powered, like I say, by that bio LNG fuel. So it does mean 100% renewable fuel is being used by our pace truck, which is of course absolutely brilliant to hear. Shane Brereton, a little bit of weaving from left to right, all of the drivers trying to follow suit, just getting some temperature in the tyres and the brakes, of course. Once they're up to optimal temperature, they really are missiles. They are so quick, and on the exit of corners, the acceleration is brilliant. These trucks, the 0 to 20 time isn't going to set the world alight, but their 20 to 100 mile an hour time is the same as a Porsche 911 GT3 RS. So they are very quick. As soon as the turbos get spooled up and they're firing on all pistons, they can really start to cover some ground. I actually think potentially Shane Brereton is on pole position. Yes, he is. I'm not 100% sure how he's managed that. But Shane Brereton is on pole position with Théo Calvert sat there in second place. And then everybody else files in behind. There's the number 33 of Jamie Anderson, starting rather far back. I think that's 14th place Jamie Anderson will be starting. So keep an eye out for him working his way back through the order. Starting grid is as follows. Shane Brereton does indeed line up on pole position ahead of Théo Calvet. Then it's Steffi Halm, Andre Kursim and Norbert Kish, and Antonio Albacete on row 3. Then it's Adam Lachko and Jochen Hahn on row 4. And the top 10 is made up by Sascha Lenz and René Reinhardt. The next few rows of the grid are as follows, with Luke Garrett starting in 11th, Stefan Faas alongside, then it's Alia Kolok and Jamie Anderson. The final row of the grid is made up by the two drivers that didn't finish race 3 today. It's Luis Ruquenco and Heinrich Clemens Hecker. So, very good field spread, lots of talent separated up and down the order. The Iveco S-Way pace truck will pull its way in to the right-hand side, in towards the pit lane, and Shane Brereton will be controlling the speed up towards the line. The second race of the day, the 4th race of the weekend, and the 12th race of the 2021 FIA European Truck Racing Championship will very shortly get underway. It's just Shane Brereton controlling the speed, still with the red lights on. They extinguish now, and we do go racing for the final time here this weekend. It's a good start by Norbert Kish. He's already looking up the inside. He's already worked his way up a couple of rows, funnily enough. He's picked off Andre Kursim and Steffi Halm, riding on board with Norbert Kish now. You can see Shane Brereton in front. A little bit of contact there, a little bit more contact with Théo Calvet. It does mean that Norbert Kish gets somewhat cut out there, but he does continue on. There's been a truck rattling through the gravel. That's René Reinhardt, and I think potentially Luke Garrett that's got caught up in that one. It was René Reinhardt still stuck in the gravel, doing what he can to return to the circuit. A lot of damage aboard the front end of Luke Garrett, but back up to the front of affairs, it's Shane Brereton still leading the way from Théo Calvet, just sat behind. Very wide there is Andre Kursim, gets the moment collected up, rejoins the circuit, but there's been a lot of gravelly moments going into the first few sectors of this race. Norbert Kish looking up the inside of Théo Calvet, and in the space of 4 corners, Norbert Kish has gone from 5th potentially to 1st here, because that outside line through this left-hand kink will very quickly evolve into the inside for the Villeneuve chicane. They're still side by side. A honk of the horn from Norbert Kish as per usual. Later on the brakes, Norbert Kish into the lead. Great stuff. And it looks like potentially Shane Brereton could get picked off here, rattling over the cones and flattening one of the track limit boards. It looks like, yes, that is Théo Calvet working his way through, and Shane Brereton potentially losing another position there. Let's see what happened when we get another camera angle. I think Adam Lachko might have actually worked his way up as well. There is Norbert Kish, our new race leader. There is Théo Calvet, and yes, it looks like Adam Lachko has managed to work his way in front of Shane Brereton. So a great start for Adam Lachko. Still pushing forward. The number 77 of René Reinhardt does have a recurring issue now after presumably that first lap incident. There is Jamie Anderson, sat behind the 24 tank pool racing machine of Stefan Faas. But look at that lead gap already. Norbert Kish crosses the line now to take the first lap of racing in the book. And the gap between the pair of them is 2.3 seconds. Great stuff from Norbert Kish. You can still see the gravel floating in the air. Bagheera Racing will be over the moon with this, because they've currently got 2 trucks in the top 3. The first being Théo Calvet, with Adam Lachko behind. Another truck running wide there. I think that could have been Heinrich Clemens-Hecker, pardon me. He'll have to be careful. He was warned twice in race 3 for track limit extensions. Looking up the inside there is Sasha Lenz of Shane Brereton. He has a big look up. I think there was a lock up there as well, trying to get the truck slowed down desperately. Alia Kolok and Jamie Anderson making a little bit of contact as well. Of course, the two Bagheera teammates, second and third, they'll have to decide what they're going to do here. Whether team orders are in effect, I don't know. But team radios, I'm sure, will be raging. It looks like Adam Lachko has worked his way around the outside under the bridge. That will evolve to the inside for the Villeneuve chicane, and there you go. Positions have changed. So the Bagheera Racing Freightliners have swapped places. Adam Lachko now into second place. Théo Calvet down to third. The next truck following along is Shane Brereton, still with Sasha Lenz sat behind. Back to our leader though, 3.1 seconds it was the lead gap the last time through, up to 4 seconds now. There is René Reynard. I mentioned he had an issue. Is he going to return to the paddock? Yes, he is. So sadly, the final race of this weekend for René Reynard will result in a retirement. Still Norbert Kish leading the way though. You can see all the trucks filing in behind. Such a good start from Norbert Kish. You can hear the turbo fluttering away as he's trying to get the throttle down as soon as possible. Still Sasha Lenz and Shane Brereton sparring away in the background. I think Andre Kersim trying to make up for an unfortunate start as well. Under pressure from Steffi Halm as well in the background. So there go the two Bagheera Freightliners. That is Adam Lachko through turn 1, heading up towards turn 2 now, using all of the road he has available to him. And still in the background, there's the battle, Shane Brereton, and who's that running very wide? I think that could have been Stefan Fass once again, running slightly wide through the gravel. A little bit of damage to Alia Kolok, a little bit more damage to Luke Garrett after what I thought was potentially a bit of contact between Luke and René Reynard. There's our leader, yet further extending that lead gap. You can see both the Freightliners in the background of Adam Lachko and Théo Calvet. Still with Shane Brereton just sat behind with Adam Lachko hot on his heels. I think potentially Steffi Halm might have worked her way past Andre Kersim. Yes, she has. And then we get back to Antonio Albacete, Jochen Hahn and Stefan Fass. Look at that lead gap, it's only building and building and building. If you are new to the series, you may end up seeing white smoke, or white steam, pardon me, billowing from both the front wheels on either side of the truck. That's nothing to worry about, it is just the water-cooled brakes, because of course 5.3 tonnes at least, all being slowed down from 100 miles an hour in towards a hairpin or a chicane. That uses a lot of braking force and generates a lot of heat, so we've got to make sure we've got little water jets to cool down the brake discs. Théo Calvet is slowly coming under a little bit of pressure, I think, from Shane Brereton. He's being ushered forward by Sasha Lenz. I think Stefan Fass once again pushing the limits of the track, collecting with another little track limits cone on the exit of the Villeneuve chicane, heading in towards Terlemenbocht. But 3 laps of the race will very shortly be completed. There we go. There goes Norbert Kish working his way by. I think we've got a black and white warning flag being waved as well. You can just about spot it behind the gantry. There it is. René Reynard, we're hearing he had a puncture from that first lap incident, hence why the truck has headed in towards retirement. There is Shane Brereton with damage on the front right hand side of his truck. Still with Sasha Lenz just sat behind, hard on the brakes in towards Sterrenvoxbocht. And then we get back to Andre Kersim as well. I think he has mainly, yes he has worked his way past, no he hasn't, pardon me, that's still Steffi Halm in front of Andre Kersim. The number 23 machine of Antonio Albacete has been given a warning for touching a penalty marker, so I believe just connecting with one of those track limits cones. That will be one of the drivers that we saw knock one of those over or slightly push one out of place. Sasha Lenz still pushing forward, trying to work his way past Shane Brereton as best he can. It's very difficult. It's not the widest of circuits here at Zolder. There is still overtaking opportunities. Into the Villeneuve chicane seems to be the favoured one. There is one of the track limits cones strewn into the gravel trap at the Villeneuve chicane. You can see This is the battle for fourth between Shane Brayton and Sasha Lenz. They've got to get a shift on, however, because Steffi Helm is sat behind. Then with Andre Kersim and Antonio Albacete. Also joining them is Jochen Hahn and the Stefan Faas in on this one as well. So it's pretty much a six-truck train as it stands. Potentially a little bit more in a few moments' time, because there is Jamie Anderson. The number 11 machine of Andre Kersim and the number 86 of Luke Garrett have also been given warnings for connections with penalty markers, so knocking one of the cones over at the apexes or the exits of the circuit. So they'll have to be careful not to get many more of those, because otherwise the race director will gift them with a time penalty. Looking up the inside now is Sasha Lenz. Looking to the outside is Andre Kersim, and then back to the inside. He almost gets the move done there, but you can see Jochen Hahn trying to work his way up the inside of Antonio Albacete. Almost gets the move done. Little wide there from Andre Kersim. Back to the inside goes Jochen Hahn. Jochen having a little look up the inside there of Antonio Albacete. Did they trade places? I don't think they have done as of yet, but Steffi Helm under a lot of pressure now from Andre Kersim. Jochen Hahn doing what he can to work his way past Antonio Albacete, but nothing quite happening as of yet. We do have the windscreen wiper on in Sasha Lenz's truck, and I don't think there's any rain in the air, but it is a regulation to be fitted with windscreen wipers and washers, so potentially his vision was slightly blurred. Quick wash of the windscreen and back to it. In towards the Villeneuve chicane once again. There is Steffi Helm, still under pressure from Andre Kersim. Getting very, very close to the tail end now is Andre, so it's Iveco versus Iveco. And then just behind you have Antonio Albacete's MAN. There is the Tankful 24 Scania of Stefan Faas, the only Scania we have out this weekend. Through the hairpin we go once again, and it's just trucks nose to tail. Steffi Helm leading Andre Kersim. Then we get back to Antonio Albacete and Jochen Hahn. Of course, race 3 winner from this weekend is Jochen. 6-time champion, so he knows what he's doing behind the wheel of these trucks. The Iveco he's in this season is more or less a development season for that truck. Next season it will really start to come into its own. Teo Calvet still sat there in 3rd place. I think the saving grace for him is Shane Brayton under pressure from Sasha Lenz. A good run out of the final corner for Steffi Helm. Spotted a brilliant bit of breathing room from Andre Kersim. Who's going to be later on the brakes? Is it Jochen Hahn? Is it Antonio Albacete? Once they come back in shot, we will be able to see. The number 24 machine of Stefan Faas goes through turn 1 again. One of the trucks has run slightly wide, and up the inside has gone Jochen Hahn. He managed to work his way through and past Antonio Albacete. So we have seen a change of position. That's 8th position has now swapped over. So Antonio Albacete losing out to the 6-time champion. And now Jochen Hahn has been released. The floodgates have opened, and he is heading towards the tail end of Andre Kersim. So Steffi Helm might see that in her rearview mirror, and will be more than happy that he now has some attention from behind. You can see lights ablaze both on the number 11 and the number 1 machine. Jamie Anderson slowly catching on to the coattails of Stefan Faas, so we could see a change of position in the coming laps between the pair of those two. The lead gap at the moment, 4.5 seconds. Norbert Kish really has opened up the tap, so in the space of, what, 5.5 laps, he's found 5 seconds, so a second a lap quicker on average is Norbert Kish, pardon me. Stefan Faas coming under yet more pressure. There we can see Sasha Lenz. There goes Adam Lachko round to the Boulderberg box, followed by his teammate of Teo Calvet, still with Shane Brayton getting very slightly closer under pressure from Sasha Lenz. Steffi Helm and Andre Kersim back nose to tail. Jochen Hahn following them two through with Antonio Albacete in tow, and Stefan Faas there as well. If they're not careful, Jamie Anderson will get in on the mix. But the gap between 3rd and 4th is definitely getting closer. A big lock up there from Steffi, so hopefully she has enough time in hand to fend off the attentions from behind. A look to the inside once again for Sasha Lenz. The windscreen wiper still hard at work, and it's still Shane Brayton that managed to stay in front. Of course, they may be picking up splashes of water and bits of vapour from, of course, the water-cooled brakes, so that can always potentially build up to enough to use the windscreen wiper. Almost wide there was Jamie Anderson, but he continues on without too much of an issue. In the background, you can see, I think that was Luke Garrett under pressure from Requenco, or it would have been, yeah, it was Luis Requenco starting to put the pressure on the MAN of Luke Garrett. Back to this battle, however, you can see Shane Brayton going defensive in towards the Klein chicane. The pair of them getting closer and closer and closer to the tail end of Teo Calvet. So 3 trucks for 3rd place as it stands. And then that trio is followed through with the battle behind of Steffi Halm, Andre Kursim and Jochen Hahn. Teo Calvet still leading the Chrome class. The next Chrome class entrance is actually Brayton, just sat behind. Of course, we saw them battling away in the 3rd race of the weekend this morning. Hearing the race director is looking into why René Reynard got that puncture. Potentially, it could have been from contact with another truck. So we'll keep you updated with what's going on there. There go the 5 trucks of Steffi Halm, Andre Kursim, and then of course we have Jochen Hahn, Antonio Alberthetti, and Stefan Faas. Stefan Faas now with a 2nd warning for hitting penalty markers, making contact with the cones that show you where the track limits are. That's a great camera angle. It really does show you the intense speed of these trucks as they cross the line. Obviously nothing quicker than 100 miles an hour. There is Jochen Hahn looking up the inside of Andre Kursim. I think potentially he will have made that move. He's already done it once. Can he get it done again? There goes Jamie Anderson. So Jochen Hahn doing what he can to work his way through. It evolved to the outside, I think. Andre Kursim looking for the cutback. Potentially he did get that move done. Yes, he did. So that is now Steffi Halm still sat there in 6th place, but this time she has the 6-time FIA European Truck Racing Champion sat behind him, or behind her, pardon me. Sasha Lenz looking desperately to the inside, doing what he can to almost force an error from Shane Brayton. This is exactly what Teo Calvet needs to remain in the lead of the Chrome class. In towards the Villeneuve chicane we go. Hard on the brakes from everybody, and it's still Sasha Lenz just pushing Shane Brayton around this Zolder circuit. And in the background we've still got Steffi Halm, Jochen Hahn and Andre Kursim under pressure, this time now from Antonio Alberthetti. Great work from our very brave marshals, swapping the cones around. Very well done to all of the marshals and our brilliant circuit staff. Of course, they've given up their weekend to allow us to go motor racing, so a massive thank you to all our circuit officials as well. But we still have Norbert Kish leading the way, 4.3 seconds. I think potentially he's eased off a little bit. There's no real need to make too many, or to take too many risks. 8 laps of the race completed. Another lock up there on the inside left of Steffi Halm on the run in towards Jackie Ixbog. So you'll have to be careful of that still, with the windscreen wiper working away on Sasha Lenz's MAN. Shane Brayton doing what he can to fend off any attentions from the number 30 machine for SL Truck Sport. And then through Stud and Voxbox we go. Teo Calvet still leading, almost losing the position there was Steffi Halm. Did Jochen Hahn manage to work his way up through the inside? I think he might have done. Yes, he has. So Jochen Hahn up yet another position. That's 6th place now for Jochen. Steffi Halm will be desperate to get that position back. She does have Andre Kursim just behind. And we're still seeing this battle rage away. It's now definitely 3 trucks for the final step on the podium. It's also 2 trucks for the top step of the Chrome podium, because Teo Calvet in the Freightliner and Shane Brayton in the purple and orange MAN are both Chrome class runners, and at the moment are both fighting for that 1st place. There they go through the Villeneuve chicane. Shane Brayton still sat there doing what he can to force a mistake from the Bagheera Freightliner. Then it's the number 30 of Sasha Lenz just following along. Then we get back to that battle of Jochen Hahn, Steffi Halm, Andre Kersim and Antonio Alberthetti. Through Boulderberg box we go once again. The number 86 machine of Luke Garrett, of course, did have a little bit of damage we spotted, potentially after making contact with René Reynard, is in the pit lane now. So Luke Garrett for MV Commercial Truck Racing in his MAN has returned to the pit lane with a cooling issue. So hopefully they get that fixed, but with 3 laps of the race remaining, it's pretty much a long shot, I think. You can now see Stefan Faas once again all over the tail end of Antonio Alberthetti. There is Jochen Hahn, very middle of our screen. You can see Sasha Lenz trying to work his way up the inside of Shane Brayton once again, but Jochen Hahn, he has extended that gap ahead of Steffi Halm. So there's around about 1.5 seconds between the pair of them. Sasha Lenz, this is the last thing he needs. He really doesn't need the 6-time champion all over his tail, taking his attentions away from the truck in front. Of course, Sasha Lenz doing what he can to attack Shane Brayton, who's doing what he can to attack Teo Calvé. In the background, Jamie Anderson still pushing forward. There is the number 86 MAN of Luke Garrett with that engine cooling issue. I think driver is out and truck into retirement. Sasha Lenz still following along, windscreen wiper still working away. A little bit of bodywork no longer there, so of course he's had a bit of argy-bargy throughout this race, but Teo Calvé still sat there in 3rd place. Somehow he's managed to remain there, even after the best intentions from Shane Brayton. Sasha Lenz still sat there as well, with Jochen Hahn getting closer and closer. Steffi Halm coming under pressure from Andre Kersim, who is coming under pressure from Antonio Alberthetti, who has Stefan Faas just sat behind. Sasha Lenz looking everywhere he can, I think maybe just trying to fill the mirrors and make Shane Brayton potentially miss a braking point or maybe miss an apex, something like that. That's all he needs. That will be the key to the door of getting a position made. Norbert Kish will very shortly be going on to the 10th lap of the race. Very sideways through Boulderberg Bocht was Jamie Anderson, so pushing the limits onto the 10th lap of the race now. And that gap still floating around 5 seconds, so Adam Lachko pushing forward. They're matching each other for lap time pretty much to the 10th. Up the inside has a look is Sasha Lenz. He was almost brave enough to get the move done, but he's running out of time here. Only 2 laps of the race remaining. If he's going to get the move done, he's got to get it done in the next couple of laps. Teo Calvé under more and more pressure from Shane Brayton. I think potentially that's because Sasha Lenz has got a rear view mirror full of Jochen Hahn. Back to this camera angle on the entry of Lucien Bianchi Bocht. Another look up the inside from Shane Brayton. Can't quite get the move done that time through, but once again they are still battling away now down towards the Klein chicane. It looks like Sasha Lenz potentially going for a move up the inside. No, he pulls back in behind Shane Brayton. He can't hang around for too long, because like I say, Jochen Hahn in his Iveco is just sat behind. Team Hahn Racing really do know how to make a show. Of course, Steffi Halm and Jochen Hahn both racing for Team Hahn Racing, and both drivers have had really a mixed bag of a weekend. But now you can see closer than ever is Sasha Lenz pushing Shane Brayton through Turleman Bocht and then heading towards the hairpin once again. Very shortly we will be going on to the 11th lap of the race, so another 2.5 mile or 4 kilometre rotation of the Zolder circuit complete. Jochen Hahn all over the tail of Sasha Lenz, who is ushered forward onto the tail of Shane Brayton, and I think Teo Calvé has really landed quite nicely with that one, because he's just going into the closing stages of the race and the truck behind now has a lot of pressure applied to him. Steffi Halm still sat there. She's managed to build up a little bit of a gap ahead of Andre Kersim. On to the final lap of the race we go. And it's still Norbert Kish leading the way, 4.1 seconds. So it looks like either he's easing off, or Adam Lachko is turning up the pressure, looking to the left, looking to the right, looking back to the left goes Sasha Lenz. There is a bit of an overlap on the entry, but Shane Brayton manages to fend off any sort of attack. Now look at that, that's Jochen Hahn diving to the inside of Sasha Lenz. Is there an overlap there? This time there isn't. The incident between 68 and 77, that will be 68. I don't have a number 68. I'm assuming that's 86. Between Luke Garrett and Rene Rayner is under investigation. But Theo Calvet through Lucien Bianchi-Bocht. Still just about managing to fend off Shane Brayton. They're very, very close together. And he's been taking time out of him very, very slightly. Adam Lachko has been reeling in our leader to the tune of about 0.2 a lap. So he's doing everything he needs to do. There is Theo Calvet still extending that gap. Shane Brayton gets closer at some points, falls away at other points. The race really is ebbing and flowing. We've got Sasha Lenz just sat behind with Jochen Hahn as well. Our leader will very shortly be heading through the final couple of corners for the final time this weekend. Lead gap now down to 3 seconds, so Norbert Kish is definitely lifted off. You can see Norbert Kish and Adam Lachko heading down the back straights for the final time, heading towards the Jackie X-Bocht. So round 5 of the championship weekend, or round 5 of the championship comes to a close here. Race 12 of the season, race 4 of the weekend is won by Norbert Kish, starting in 5th place to recover and get to the top step of the podium, followed by Adam Lachko. And does Theo Calvet cross the line and remain in 3rd place overall to win the Chrome class for a clean sweep this weekend? That's 4 Chrome wins from Theo Calvet, with Shane Brayton just sat behind, as well as Sasha Lenz and Jochen Hahn. And Jochen Hahn never really managed to get exactly what he needed to get past Sasha Lenz. So Sasha does finish in 5th place, Jochen Hahn in 6th, and Steffi Halm in 7th place. Then it's Andre Kersim in 8th, Antonio Alberthetti in 9th, and Stefan Faas in 10th place. You can see everybody just enjoying their final lap of Zolder this weekend, waving to the marshals. A massive thank you to, of course, our marshals and circuit officials. We wouldn't be able to go racing without them. So, of course, we need to make sure we do give them their appropriate thank yous. You can see the heat haze in the background, so the heat has definitely risen compared to yesterday. But that is the man to beat. Came into this round championship leader, has extended his championship lead. The Hungarian behind the wheel of the very sideways number 41 Revas Racing Machine, or Revas Racing Machine, I should say. That is Norbert Kish. What a drive throughout the weekend. And Adam Lachko, I've got to say, one of those drivers that was there or thereabouts as well, of course, winning yesterday's race too. He's had a couple of good results throughout this weekend, so that will be what he needs in regards to the championship. And brilliant strut control there from Norbert Kish, just enjoying himself here, using up what's left of those rear tyres. And Adam Lachko doing the same, so too is Sasha Lenz. And in typical truck racing fashion, everybody just having a grand old time on the way back to the pit lane. The top 3 from each class will return to the pit lane, while everybody else will head towards the paddock and head under Parc Fermé rules. On the exit again of Oldenburg-Bocht for the final time this weekend, it's Norbert Kish, really enjoying himself. So too is Adam Lachko. Great stuff from Adam Lachko. Jamie Anderson, I think it was a weekend of what could have been. Lots of potential there, but the races never really came to him. Not riding on board with Norbert Kish, heading in towards the pit lane now. And your race victor for the final time this weekend is Norbert Kish, honking the horn, as is pretty much obligatory from Norbert Kish in towards the pit lane. There goes Adam Lachko. And so does Theo Calvet, and Norbert Kish bringing the truck in towards the Zolder pit lane, past the fuel pumps on the right-hand side. And then he will pull in front of the leaderboard or the winner's board I should say, past the podium there, and the winner's board is awaiting, where he can clamber out of his MAN and go and celebrate with the team. There is Norbert Kish, after a very well driven race from 5th, working his way right the way up to the lead in the space of what, 4 corners. The team chanting Norby. He's got some very passionate supporters, does Norbert Kish. And then we have Adam Lachko pulling in to 2nd place, and Teo Calvé. What a weekend from you, sir, a brilliant weekend. He's won the Chrome class in every single race he's entered, and he's had 2 overall podiums as well, so really well driven from the Bagheera Racing Team driver. There is Norbert Kish, getting the safety netting out of the way, clambering out of his number 41 Revas Racing MAN, and then taking the gloves off. Very, very happy. Cheers from the team. So too from Bagheera as Adam Lachko clambers out of his Freightliner. Very well done to Adam Lachko as well. Bagheera have had a very, very good weekend with their Freightliners. And Norbert Kish, standout driver again, even after a few little incidents yesterday which are frowned upon in the paddock. He's had a brilliant weekend. There is Adam Lachko, sat chatting to his team, making sure he gets some liquids back in, because of course it is a very physical sport, trying to negotiate the Zolder circuit in a 5.3 ton race truck. The podiums are on their way. I'm sure we'll have a few interviews as well. I'm going to take this time obviously to thank the partners of the FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Of course, we've got Goodyear, Iveco, Smart Witness, Kogel Trailers, Ford Trucks and Alcoa Wheels, all partners of the FIA European Truck Racing Championship, and they make what we do possible. So of course a massive thank you to all of the partners as well. And as the trucks sit there waiting to be taken back to the paddock, in a few moments time we will have, I'm sure, an interview and the podiums as well. You can see all the media there getting all the photo opportunities as well. Norbert Kish chatting to Adam Lachko and Teo Calvé in the background, I'm sure just discussing through what was a rather thrilling race. There goes Norbert Kish heading towards the podium, and a brilliant weekend draws to a close. Of course, you've got to remember that number 41 machine last night had a full engine change after they found an issue with the engine block. They've done a full engine change and clearly found another gear in there somewhere, because they have been dominant ever since they have done that. Of course, everything has passed part firmware regulations, barring the quick water refill. But we do have Christopher down there for an interview.
Norbert Kish, what a weekend for you. Congratulations. Even if they put you in the last row, you are the winner, you're the dominator of the series. How happy are you?
Yeah, very happy. Very happy for the guys. Because, yeah, we were obviously made a mistake today, but fixed it really quickly. So it's good. I'm happy because Sasha was behind me on both races, so it's good for the championship. And yeah, we were really fast, you know, like really fast. You know, they can maybe take away my time in the qualifying, but I remember it was a 56.1, and that was really fast. I think it's probably the fastest lap I've seen in the last many years since I'm doing here in truck racing. So yeah, I'm very happy with the speed, very happy with the consistency. You know, even at the end of the race, we can do very good lap times. So yeah, it's really good job for the team. You know,
that was a really incredible start you made.
Yeah, and this race was good because yeah, the start is really tricky because the regulation says you can start between 50 and 70, and the pole sitter decides the speed. And usually we go quite high speed, you know, usually 70 or something, really close to 70. But this time Shane chose to go slow, so we were going like 55, and I think probably that surprised a couple of people. But when I see that Shane is going really slow and we are like 55 or whatever, then I changed down a gear so that I have, you know, enough revs and boost and power to get the start right. And I had a little bit of a peak, you know, just that I could see the light. So I catch the light, I don't have to wait for the radio and everything, because, you know, if you are behind other trucks, they block the view, and a lot of times you cannot see the light. So you sometimes have to take a little bit of a peek. If you can see the light in one of the back rows, then definitely that's a good advantage. So I see the lights. I was in the right gear, full boost, you know. So I had a good start. Take the row in front of me immediately. I was P3, and then I was on the inside of Theo on turn 1, and I think he tried to go. He tried to go behind. To undercut Shane on the exit of the turn 1, or I don't know how you say that. But I was there, so we collided a little bit. But I still could keep P3. And then on the first chicane, the braking, I could overtake Theo, and I see Shane made a mistake in the chicane, and he was clear alone in front, but he still made a mistake. So I saw that immediately, that if I have a good exit from the chicane, then I can try and overtake him as well. And I did have a good exit on the chicane. I went on the right side of him, and down to the Villeneuve chicane, the right side is good. So I could outbrake him and take the first place pretty quickly. So it was a good race, and everything was coming my way. You know, it's luck was into it probably as well. But when you have the speed, is better than luck.
That was really incredible, and I have the feeling you still have a lot of adrenaline in your blood, and you're very happy. What are the chances now in the championship? What are your thoughts? Who will be the greatest opponent?
We're looking good, even though that this weekend we lost some points. Clearly, we still build our advantage, because I think we arrived here with a 3-point advantage, and I think we are leaving with about 15. I think we calculated like 13 or something like that after the first race, and now I think Sasha was 5th, so again 5 points, so maybe even more than 15. So it's looking good on the championship, or maybe it's not even Sasha second anymore. Maybe it's Adam. I think maybe it's Adam in second place. You know, I don't know.
Adam is in second.
Adam is in second. Okay,
Adam
then good.
Second,
so you know, probably like 15 points advantage, which is good. And obviously these guys, like Johan is always really fast on the qualifying, and Sasha and Adam always really fast on the races. So these guys are that are looking at the championship, but we are now a little bit ahead. So hope to stay there.
Norbert, thank you very much. Now it's your moment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christopher, for the word there with Norbert Kish, and clearly nailing the start was exactly what he needed to set up what was a perfect race for him. And then from there, it all went his way. The results are on their way as well. Here we go. Norbert Kish, top of the times, top of the championship as well. He's only extended that championship gap throughout this weekend with a 23-minute and 49-second race time. Adam Lachko finished in second, and Teo Calvet finished in third overall and wins the Chrome class and the Goodyear Cup. Then it's Shane Brayton and Sasha Lenz. Not a great weekend from Sasha. I think it was a weekend of what could have been for him as well. Jochen Hahn finished in 6th. Then it's Steffi Halm and Andre Kersim. And Antonio Albertetti and Stefan Vaas finished 9th and 10th. Followed by Jamie Anderson, Heinrich Clemens Hecker, Alia Kolak and Luis Riquenco. I think also we had another retirement as well, of course. Luke Garrett pulled into the pit lane with a cooling issue, and Rene Reina retired very early on. Now it's time for the national anthem of our winning driver. So as the podium celebrations are completed, it's Teo Calvet on the third step of the podium, Adam Lachko on the second step, and Norbert Kish takes to the top of the podium once again this season. Came into this round with 4 wins and extended that lead margin, and like you say, we believe Adam Lachko has taken second place in the championship standings. So caps changed, trophies held aloft, and the media get their opportunities to take the photos. Adam Lachko very, very happy with his performance this weekend. And as the host says, it's time for the celebrations, time for the champagne. The final time this weekend, corks are popped, and Adam Lachko really does celebrate. There is Norbert Kish getting the champagne going. So too is Teo Calvé. And what a weekend for Teo. He's had an absolutely brilliant weekend. He's been on that podium, I think he'll come to 6 times at the end of this weekend. So very well done to himself. Lots of silverware to be taken home. Not very happy with the celebrations, very clearly, is Adam Lachko's little helper. And I'm fairly sure she has a fair few caps to go home with as well this weekend. A few more photo opportunities there with Norbert Kish. And then it's time for the Chrome class podium. Teo Calvé won't really have to walk very far, will he? So I do believe it will be Teo Calvé taking to the top step of the podium. Shane Brayton alongside him, and then Stefan Faas on the last step of the podium as the support races head out once again. It's been a brilliant weekend, not just of trucks but of motorsport all round. Zolder has been a very, very busy place, and the crowds have been flocking forward for it as well. Massive thank you if you've been watching at the circuit, even more so if you've been watching at home as well. It's been a brilliant production all weekend, so a massive thank you to everybody involved, whether it be on or off the circuit. As the flags are readied and the national anthems getting readied as well, we will have the Chrome class podium for the Goodyear Cup. So the bottom step of the podium, 3rd place is Stefan Faas for Tank Ball 24 Racing in his Scania. 2nd position is Shane Brayton. Great stuff from Shane. The number 17 MAN driver takes to the podium once again. And then for the 6th time this weekend, the 4th win of the weekend as well, Teo Calvé gets to the podium. 6 times he's been on that podium. 4 wins from 4 for Teo Calvé. A terrific weekend for him. Now it's time for the national anthem of the winning driver. That was the Goodyear Cup podium. Very well done to all the drivers. Trophies held aloft and Goodyear caps worn. There we go. Teo Calvé already knows, winning the Goodyear Cup 4 times in a row this weekend. Great stuff from Teo. And then it's time, well, for the final time this weekend, champagne will be sprayed. Teo Calvé getting absolutely drenched there by Shane Brayton and Stefan Faas, and who can blame them really? He's been so dominant this weekend, and at Le Mans next round, can he continue on with the same form? So the media, I'm sure, getting some great photos there. Away we went on the installation lap. The Iveco S-Way pace truck leading the trucks away, with Shane Brayton on pole position, and then it was Teo Calvé alongside. So everything got underway for race 4. It was all about Shane Brayton's pace at the start, which allowed Norbert Kish to get a dream start. Dropped it down a gear, picked 2 places up before he even got to turn 1. Riding on board with him, we can see that it was Teo Calvé looking to turn in, looking to get the cutback, and a little bit of contact there between the pair of them. Luke Garrett and René Reynards made a little bit of contact as well. René Reynards with the second of the 2 punches we've had here this weekend. Luke Garrett, who picked up some damage, later on had to retire due to a cooling issue. Here we can see very sideways and a very gravelly moment there for Andre Kursim. He did manage to get the moment collected up and return a little bit further down the order. However, there we see the change for the lead. That's Shane Brayton on the inside, Norbert Kish on the outside. It very quickly evolves the other way around, and then just later on the brakes was the number 41 Hungarian in towards the Villeneuve chicane. Position made and lead taken away. Then we see yet more contact between the drivers. That was Teo Calvé muscling his way up the inside of Shane Brayton, and Adam Lachko followed suit. As soon as he got into some clean air, Norbert Kish just carried on pushing forward. Both the Bagheera Freightliners sat behind, did what they could to stick with him, but nothing was a match for that MAN. Here we see the change of position between teammates. Adam Lachko taking 2nd place away from Teo Calvé. Adam Lachko pushed forward but could never really catch on to the tail end of Norbert Kish. Into the paddock area went René Reinhardt after a puncture, meaning he could take no further part in this race. Sasha Lenz really started to attack the tail end of Shane Brayton, and this battle started now and went throughout the entire race. You can see there Sasha Lenz looking to the inside, looking to the outside, doing what he could to potentially force a mistake or make a move there on the number 17 Apollo tyres MAN. Crossing the line 4 laps later, it meant that they were getting closer and closer and closer together. We had 4 trucks sparring away in the background in the way of Andre Kersim, Antonio Albuquerque, Jochen Hahn and Stefan Faas. In towards the Villeneuve chicane we went. Steffi Hahn there under pressure from Andre Kersim. Having a little look everywhere they go. Suspension rattling around over the curbs as is expected in these trucks. And here we start to see Shane Brayton really start to apply that pressure to Théo Calvé, while also under attack from Sasha Lenz. Sasha carried on applying that pressure throughout the race. Here we can see Steffi Hahn under more and more pressure from Andre Kersim, who has got Antonio Albuquerque just sat behind, with Stefan Faas there as well. Jamie Anderson doing what he could to keep in touch with the trucks ahead. This is how close they got. They were really nose to tail for a long stage of the race. Shane Brayton just sat in front of Sasha Lenz. Here we see a change of position for Steffi Hahn, getting overtaken there by Jochen Hahn. After a few of the track limits cones got strewn around the runoff areas, a few of the drivers picking up warnings, but no penalties made. Here we can see Sasha Lenz getting as close as he ever really got to getting in front of Shane Brayton. But the final race of the weekend was won by Norbert Kies, taking top honours after a brilliant weekend. Norbert Kies, what a drive throughout the weekend. Adam Lachko crossed the line, delighted with second place, and for the 4th time this weekend, Théo Calvé won the Chrome Class and the Goodyear Cup. Norbert Kies delighted with his performance this weekend and showed us how delighted he was after a very sideways in lap. In towards the winner's board, in towards the paddock and heading towards the podium was Norbert Kies. New engine in that truck, put in overnight, and it really did work for them. And of course, with a brilliant qualifying, it sets him up for a brilliant day worth of racing. The celebrations took off, and Adam Lachko more than happy to join them on there. That was the highlights from race 4. We now have the overall standings after this weekend's action. Norbert Kies still remains up at the top of the order, extending that lead margin. However, this time he doesn't have Sasha Lenz in tow. It's Adam Lachko in his Freightliner on 113 points. Only 4 seconds back from himself is Sasha Lenz in 3rd. Then we drop back away from the hundreds to Antonio Albuquerque in 4th, with Jochen Hahn 5th. And it's Théo Calvé after a dream weekend, a point ahead of Steffi Hahn. Then it's Andre Kersim, Shane Brayton and Anthony Janiek, a no-show for this weekend in his number 66 MAN. That was the top 10 overall standings, and we head to Le Mans next time out, where I'm sure the championship will end up all over the place once again. We do have an interview down in the pit lane, so for the final time this weekend, Christopher, it's down to you.
Yeah, Théo Calvé, the man with all these cups. How many cups, how many times? 4 races, 4 wins. I think that's a perfect weekend.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like you said, 4 wins in this weekend in Goodyear Cup. 2 podium, 2 third place. I think we cannot believe better. Honestly, I'm really, really happy with the weekend. We made amazing performance. I had a good pace during the race. Adam, my teammate, made also a good race. He made a podium, 2nd place. So I'm so happy.
Is there enough space for all these cups at home?
Yeah, it starts to be difficult it's really nice to have all those cups, and also you can offer them to the partner and everything to the team. So it's really nice. But yeah, I'm really happy to have all those cups.
Tell me about the fight with Shane Brayton. How tough is it, and what you think will be the winner at the end of the season?
Yeah, he overtook me at the start. He had a better start than me. We have a lot of battle together this year. I overtook him in the first lap or second lap, I don't remember, but it was a really nice move. I appreciate it, but yeah, it will be the fight will be like this during all the season, and I hope I can win the Goodyear Cup this year.
Theo, I know you are 20 years old. This weekend was amazing for you, but tomorrow there's another task waiting for you. That's nothing to do with racing. What's that?
Yeah, like you said, I had the race weekend today and yesterday, and now I have a plane in 2 hours, to Toulouse, and tomorrow morning I have one of my biggest exams of the year, so I hope it will work, and I have to work in the racing weekend and in school, so it's not easy, but yeah, we will see tomorrow.
Yeah, we are all on your side, all your fans, and I think the exams will be wonderful, like your racing weekend was. Thank you very much, and have a good flight.
Yeah, I just want to thank my team, my partners, and everybody, my family who's supporting me, you, the fan. It's very nice to have this support, and yeah, one word, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. So, and then we have the next interview, Stefan. Yeah, congratulations. That was a very difficult weekend, I think, especially mentally, because it was up and down. So can you describe how was your weekend? Now it ended up, luckily, at the podium.
Yeah, this weekend was very, very hard. We have in the beginning a little problem with technique, and we start not so good. But this races today was very good, and we saw all technique is okay and runs. And now we look for Le Mans. What's happened there?
How was it for you emotionally with all these ups and downs? How you succeed? Wie war es für Sie emotional? Wie sind Sie damit umgegangen mit diesen ganzen Rückschlägen und dann am Ende doch wieder auf dem Podium?
Also ich bin ganz gut eigentlich damit umgegangen. Ich bin da sehr ruhig und habe mich da zurückgezogen am Wochenende und habe einfach geschaut, dass wir unsere Daten und alles perfekt auswerten und haben so auch alle Fehler gefunden und haben dann in jedem Rennen eigentlich einen Schritt gemacht. Das war für uns natürlich eine Mega-Sache. Emotional ist das natürlich gigantisch. Ja. Das ganze Team hat voll rangeklotzt. Wir haben alle Gas gegeben und haben gestern Abend auch komplett durchgeschraubt und haben geschaut, dass alles in Ordnung ist, sodass wir heute in den Tag starten können. Und ich bin eigentlich sehr happy, absolut geiles Wochenende.
Wunderbar, vielen Dank, gute Heimreise und freue mich, Sie dann wieder zu sehen. Yeah, just translate, I asked him how was it for him emotionally with all these ups and downs. It ended up at the podium, but yeah, he had so many problems, the penalty and all this, and he said, yeah, I try to keep calm, to concentrate, and I have a very good team at my side. They were working so hard, but at the end he says, it was a wonderful weekend for me and for my team, so I'm looking forward to Le Mans. And we are also looking forward to Le Mans. It's in 14 days, and see you then. It was very nice with all these incredible races, with the commentators, and especially with you, the fans. Bye-bye here from Zolder, Belgium.